including layoffs. Canopy shares jumped 15% today. Lowry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers. In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Elite advisory firms rely on BNY Mellon's Pershing to meet the needs of their most complex clients. Karen Novak, Chief Operating Officer at Pershing Advisor Solutions, explains how.
At BNY Mellon's Pershing, we bring customized insights and strategies to help you grow your advisory business and stay on the leading edge. We can support the needs of your most sophisticated clients with a full range of investment and wealth management solutions, from access to private banking to consolidated bank and brokerage custody. Learn why so many of the largest advisory firms turn to us for the financial strength and high-touch service that BNY Mellon's Pershing can provide. Are you well positioned to stand out from your competition?
Learn more at Pershing.com or call 800-445-4467. Brokerage custody provided by Pershing LLC and other services provided by Pershing Advisor Solutions LLC. Both members of FINRA and SIPC. Private banking and bank custody provided by BNY Mellon NA. Member FDIC.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
We make learning from the best possible every week.
That's not typical for a CEO, is it?
Barry Ritholtz hosts Masters in Business.
That's not an evolution?
Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
Coming up, I'm going to continue my conversation with Cheryl Palmer. We talked a lot about the people in her business. I want to talk to her about labor and getting all those homes built and sold. First, let's get to Charlie Pellet. He's got an update on the trade. What's going on after the close?
Yeah, I want to talk about 13Fs. It is that time of the quarter, and we've got word that hedge funds disclosing fourth quarter investments in 13F filings. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway adding stakes in both Kroger and Biogen, while also scaling back its stake in Wells Fargo. Kroger shares, by the way, up by about 6.5% in extended trading. Turned out to be a mixed Friday here. Was a winning week for both the S&P, NASDAQ, and the Dow, but a down Friday for the Dow, dropping 25 points, down by about 0.1%. S&P 500 index up 6. That was a gain of 0.2%, while NASDAQ gained 19 points, higher by 0.2%. The 10-year up 9/30 seconds with a yield of 1.56%. Well, as for the economic backdrop, David Mazza is head of product at Direction.
We're getting to the point, in my opinion, where you can't start ignoring some of the weakness. Look at the JOLTS data that came out. Look at the retail sales in the control group. This isn't an all-out sell signal, but it's telling us that if we are truly late cycle, maybe we need to know that late cycles often lead to the end of the cycle and then an eventual new cycle. But it doesn't necessarily push the restart button that all's well.
Today's economic data showed retail sales rose in January for a fourth straight month as cheaper prices at the gas pump encouraged Americans to spend on other goods, underscoring steady consumer spending. Next week, Walmart set to give investors an insight into the state of the consumer. Nvidia shares up today by 7% after earnings, also gaining after earnings today. Expedia up by 11%. Roku heading the other direction after last night's report, down by 6.3%. Again, recapping a mixed Friday here. S&P up 6, up 0.2% at a record. Gold up 0.5%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. And coming up a little bit later on, we're going to break down some of those 13Fs with Hema Parmar. Let's get back to my conversation with Cheryl Palmer. Still sticking with me. Thanks for hanging around. Chairman and CEO of Taylor Morrison, joining me on the phone from lovely Scottsdale, Arizona. So, Cheryl, before the break, we were talking about sort of managing the people in your business, the folks who are, dealing with customers and selling homes and things like that. I did want to ask you about the broader labor market, because we continue to be in a very tight labor market. I do wonder, as you're actually getting homes built and sold, what are you finding?
Yeah, I would say we're seeing exactly the same thing. And this has been with us for a number of years now, for a number of different reasons, right? Like you said, the broader market. But if you think about the downturn, a lot of people left the industry, some aged out. We didn't really grow new talent through the school system. So it's been very tight. It's been tight both on the home building side. I'd say most recently the biggest shift we've seen is we're really seeing it on the development side, so what we call the horizontal development, the underground. So it's taking longer to bring communities to market. It's taking longer to build homes, but this is what we do, and we work through it every day. And you really feel the pressure month end, quarter end, year ends. But, it's we're having to look at opportunities on building sciences and how we get more efficient. We're looking at developing and training and bringing new people into the industry. So there's not one quick answer here.
And do you see it sort of playing through to margins and sort of overall profitability at this point, Cheryl?
You go through different parts of the construction cycle where you see pressures. I mean, at some point it's on the commodities. Where we've seen it most consistently over the last many years has been on the labor side. So yes, and you see it both directly in cost and you see it in just how long it takes. And so it's really critical that we go into partnerships with our trade partners, because it's about getting them to the job and keeping them there and making sure that there's no dead days, the job's ready for them when they get there. Right. So it truly is in every meaning of the word, a partnership for us to get done and deliver the quality homes we need to on time for our customers.
So you've had a nice little run in the stock already this year, stock up 27%, based on what I'm seeing here in my Bloomberg terminal. I do wonder, is that reflective in your mind of just great performance on your part, or does this tell us something? Well, that's clear. But does it tell us something more broadly about demand? Does it tell us something more broadly about sort of the state of the industry across the U.S.?
I think it's, I'd love to say it's the performance of the team, and they've done some great work, and certainly that's a piece of it. And all the things that we've been working on for quite some time, seeing finally come through the P&L, and that being appreciated. And hey, William Lyon's our 6th acquisition in 6 years, so each time you take a little bit of a step forward to take one back to take one forward. But I think more than anything, it's really a signal to how everyone's feeling about the industry. We're just coming off of the year-end earnings, and everybody, I think, reported very nice results. I look at our fourth quarter, and our sales were up 42%. That continued in January, up more than 45%. And it's been across all geographies. It's been across all consumer cohorts. And so I think it's really evidence of how the consumer's feeling. They're feeling good about their jobs. Their incomes are starting to grow. We don't have really any supply to speak of in most parts of the country.
Yeah.
So I think it's a number of factors that's actually playing into the confidence across the board.
All right. Only about a minute and a half left here. Cheryl, tell me about a market you're especially excited about. I know it's like choosing among your children because, you love all your teams and things like that. But, what's a market that maybe we should be thinking about that's not so obvious?
That's not so obvious. Wow. I think that I'd point to a couple then. One is, California's had a lot of noise over the last year, and it could have been tariffs, it could have been prices, it could have been salt. But both in the Bay as well as Southern Cal, we've really seen some consistency back in the business.
Interesting.
So I think that's exciting because, I think a year ago the sky was falling and it really wasn't. And then if I were to point to a couple others that we're just seeing continued strength really across the board, it's Phoenix, and I don't know if that's expected or not, but it just continues and has for quite some time. And then really through Texas.
That's interesting.
Austin is just powerful.
Right.
Houston's been very consistent, and Dallas, very similar to what I'd say about California. It had seen a pretty tremendous pace of both price and volume movement. And so it took a little breather, but it's feeling in most submarkets, feeling once again very consistent.
All right, Cheryl Palmer, always good to catch up with you, Chairman, CEO of Taylor Morrison, doing some deals, putting earnings out, joining me on the phone from Scottsdale, Arizona. Looking forward to seeing you the next time you're back in New York City. Coming up, we're going to check in on different part of the market, the retail market, talking Manhattan, talking over in New Jersey, the American Dream. Jordan Holman, fresh off celebrating Galentine's Day. First, let's get to Bob Moon. He's got World and National Headlines. Hey, Bob.
Jason, federal health authorities say they'll start testing for the rapidly spreading coronavirus that originated in China through their existing seasonal influenza surveillance system. Dr. Nancy Messonnier, director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, explained the decision today in a telephone briefing with reporters.
So that we can begin testing people with flu-like symptoms for novel coronavirus. Those public health labs are in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, and New York City.
Patients with flu-like symptoms will be tested, and if they're negative, they'll be tested for the new coronavirus. President Trump praised officers from the Border Patrol and ICE for keeping the nation safe. During a White House ceremony today, he also touted progress on the wall being built along the southern border.
We think by the end of the year we'll be up to over 400 miles, and shortly thereafter we'll be at 500 miles. And then we'll determine if there's any other area that might need it, but we'll have covered, we think, close to 100% of the area that we wanted.
Defense officials are standing behind their decision, meantime, to divert nearly $4 billion in aircraft funding and other programs to help pay for Trump's border wall. Some in Congress say the move is illegal. And if you're one of those who thinks money can buy you love on this Valentine's Day, it seems the price keeps moving higher. Restaurant prices climbed more than 3% in January from a year earlier, the steepest rise for January since 2009. A National Retail Federation survey finds those planning an evening out tonight will spend close to $4.5 billion. Presumably everybody in aggregate, or somebody who really has dating trouble. Global News 24 hours a day. I'm Bob Moon.
Message and data rates may apply. T&C and privacy terms can be found at babbel.com/terms. Please don't text and drive.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then try Babbel for free by texting EXPLORE to 64,000. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just text EXPLORE to 64,000 and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or text EXPLORE to 64,000 and try it for free. Text EXPLORE to 64,000.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
The Bloomberg Business of Sports podcast.
How did the Yankees become this mega valuable team?
Where the money is flowing inside sports around the globe.
From the marketing perspective, where are the dollars spent?
From union heads to team owners, Scott Soshnick and Michael Barr speak to the names that power this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Boston Red Sox CEO Sam Kennedy.
National Hockey League Commissioner Gary Bettman.
Bloomberg Business of Sports. Listen today on Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients, and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
25 years ago, NJIT graduate Dick Sweeney co-founded Keurig Green Mountain, a company whose incredible innovations changed the way the world brews a cup of coffee. Today, he lectures widely on business leadership and is a strong advocate for NJIT's work to combine business education with the power of STEM.
NJIT is definitely fostering the innovative thinking for budding entrepreneurs simply because that's the world we live in. NJIT is producing students that have been trained, educated, and given the business acumen to be a contributor to a company. The distinct mission is to develop great STEM scholars. The attributes I've always looked for in team members are heart, smarts, guts, and luck. So we want people with passion, intelligence, courage, and never discount luck. The student coming out of NJIT has experienced all of that.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically, yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, president of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize SEI's global operating platform. If your business requires greater agility, our advanced technology, integrated best-in-class systems, and multi-asset expertise can be your catalyst for business transformation.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at seic.com/seize change.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. The Dow lower, S&P, NASDAQ both higher, closing the Friday session at a record. Turned out it was a winning week as well. S&P 500 index picking up 6 points to end the week at 3380, a gain of 0.2%. NASDAQ up 19, that's also a gain of 0.2%. Dow Industrials down 25, a drop of 0.1%. 10-year up 9/30 seconds with a yield of 1.58%. We've got gold up 0.6%, $15.84 the ounce, and West Texas Intermediate crude rallying today by 1.5%, $52.21. The sports note: A-Rod Alex Rodriguez emerging as a potential buyer of the New York Mets. This according to a report in the New York Post. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that's Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thanks a lot. You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week right here on Bloomberg Radio. All right, rising from the ground in a way. A lot of turmoil in the retail market for sure, but maybe some opportunity ahead. Let's talk about it in a couple different ways. Jordan Holman back with me, retail reporter for Bloomberg, and I was telling Jordan off air that got a lot of great feedback personally about her story and our discussion about it yesterday related to Galentine's Day. I do want to correct myself publicly, though. I talked about my son Henry Kelly's affection for the show. My other son, Will Kelly, also loves Parks and Rec. So I had to clear the air there, Jordan. Thank you for keeping me straight. But happy post-Galentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's.
So tell me what's going on with Macy's, because we've talked a lot recently about Macy's in sort of a like womp-womp kind of way. But maybe some good stuff happening here in New York City?
Yeah, some changes might be coming to the skyline here in New York City. So Macy's obviously has their iconic tower or building in Herald Square. Right. What they want to do is add a skyscraper to that. So that would be commercial office space. But that takes a lot of that takes a lot of steps. You have to get city involvement. You have to get permits. And so if that goes through, that would be a few years until we see it.
Right. And the idea is basically that that's one of the most valuable things they have is that piece of property right in the, like smack in the middle of Manhattan, right?
Right. Because Macy's core business, department store retail has been hit really hard. So what we've been seeing in terms of construction in New York is you have Hudson Yards that's being built up, Penn Station, you're seeing some changes. And just a few blocks away, Macy's has this building that it owns, millions of square feet, and they want to capitalize on that.
And a lot of sky above it. Yeah, I mean, where it is, for those of our listeners and viewers who aren't in Manhattan, I mean, it's at 34th Street. I mean, it's right there. It's very close to Penn Station, which, whatever you think about Penn Station, a lot of people move in and out of there. So a lot of valuable real estate for sure. Across the river, let's talk a little bit about American Dream. We've talked to you about this a little bit. This was so long in the making. It dates back years and years, back to Tom Barrack and Colony Capital, Xanadu. Anyone who's driven up and down 95 has seen it in various states of repair, disrepair, and construction. And now it's getting ready for its ultimate test.
Yes, next month it will be opening its retail stores. So right now it has amusement parks, ski slopes, you get all the entertainment side. But they're going to start doing the bread and butter of malls, opening stores. So you're going to have department stores there, some shoe stores, Old Navy, Victoria's Secret. And the big test behind that is a lot of those companies in the retail apparel space have been struggling.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we need another mall? Will it get the foot traffic that they expect?
Right. So who's there? Like, what can we expect to see if we do show up to American Dream?
Okay, so I went to a job fair at the end of last month to check out just who was there. So we have Charlotte Russe, which is the teen retailer who filed for bankruptcy last year, is coming back. You have Old Navy, Banana Republic, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
So all of those, DSW, that now has that Jennifer Lopez line.
Right.
So it's across the board.
All right, so I just want to be cynical here for a second. All of those names that you mentioned are names that we have talked about in some way, some form or fashion, pun intended, over the past couple years, not in a positive way. You know, it's sort of struggling with their retail footprint. Is this just more of the same? What's different about this particular location, potentially?
So a lot of retailers are pinning their hopes on American Dream just because it offers something completely different than what we're used to in a normal mall. So the idea is, okay, so a family's going to go to the amusement park. While they're there, maybe they'll eat, maybe they'll start shopping. So that makes that location attractive to the retailers. And I guess it's part of, I don't want to miss out if this is a big thing.
Right.
I want to be there to benefit from it.
Right. Have they figured out, from what you can tell, sort of the logistics of sort of getting in and out of there? Because I know we talked before a few months ago about some of the challenges related to, getting there, especially from Manhattan, the traffic patterns, the public transportation or lack thereof. How's all that going to work?
So like the job fair I mentioned, you had the job seekers, people who would be working in these stores. So what the mall provided was just a list of different transportation options.
Okay.
So it looks like they are thinking about that, some bus routes that you can take. There is the ferry, but a lot of the people who were there were local to New Jersey.
Yeah.
They're going to drive.
Right.
The big question is, are people, 8 miles away in Manhattan going to figure out how to get there?
Well, and speaking of driving, one of the things that American Dream has to figure out is it going to be cool enough to get you away from, Short Hills is not that far away. That's a massive, massive mall. And then there's a big Westfield property as well, right nearby.
Right, which also puts another wrinkle in it. People like to shop at their mall.
Yeah.
So it's about turning American Dream not just into a destination, but as something that someone wants to return to. So it's a mixture. They've changed their strategy over the year in terms of which retailers they want.
Yeah.
They were going to have a Barney's in there. Obviously, that's not going to be the case anymore given their bankruptcy.
Right.
They want some higher end retailers in there to make it more of like a luxurious experience. But what was at the career fair, it's, the middle of the mall types of stores.
Right. All right. So talk to me just in the couple of minutes we have left. I've been fairly negative about the retail sector in this conversation, but you're seeing it very holistically. There are some bright spots, and we've talked about a little bit about them before. I look at a Lululemon. I look at some of the other more specialty retailers that have figured it out. What are the bright spots on your beat right now?
The bright spots in terms of the retailer? Yeah. I guess athleisure. People who figured out athleisure have been doing well. People who've figured out the pop-up experience.
Yeah.
So Levi's has a really cool, I was just in Miami earlier this week. They have a cool pop-up shop down there where it's all customization. So it's these big trends if like the legacy retailers can figure out how to do customization, how to do, the buy online, pick up in store, just making it really convenient.
Right.
That's what we're starting to see in 2020.
It's interesting you mentioned Miami and that scene. We were down there for the Super Bowl or just ahead of the Super Bowl. And, Lincoln Road there, which is a big outdoor shopping mall. I have to say I was sort of walking through there on my way to work at the convention center, at the Miami Beach Convention Center where we were doing our broadcast. And you do see people, even in the middle of the day, like on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I mean, people do continue to shop. They do want to be out and about. It's not all just sort of clicking and buying. I don't know, maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, no, I don't. I wasn't too. You're just old. But no, I think there's definitely some truth in that. You like the browsing experience, like the fact that we even have the word just browsing to look around. So if, developers and retailers can capitalize on that feeling of you just want to see something, and then hopefully that translates, that works. So there's some hot spots. Obviously, Soho and Manhattan does a really great job of just having people pop in.
It is interesting, too, to just experience, and I did go into a Lululemon store when I was down there. I mean, they are on it in terms of like high-touch customer service. It does feel like the age of someone, sort of like shouting at you across the store, like, let me know if you need anything. Like, that's over. Like, they're calling you by name. They're going through the whole process with you. All right, Jordan Holman, always love catching up with you, and lucky for me, 2 days in a row. Really appreciate all your hard work. A busy week, it sounds like. You were in Princeton yesterday, Miami earlier in the week, and still churning out some really great stories, some of the most read on the Bloomberg. Coming up, we're going to talk about, speaking of retail, some fancy bags. This is Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Daybreak Asia.
Are you seeing a lot more buying power on the part of younger people in China?
Financial news made in Asia for use everywhere.
It is a bit of a waiting game.
Sunday night at 6 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
This is the Bloomberg Green Business Report. Are your neighbors killing you? A study published in the journal Nature found that roughly half the air pollution originating in one state gets carried downwind across state boundaries, affecting the health of out-of-state residents and increasing their risk of dying early. Researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology use new computer tools to determine the biggest contributor to out-of-state deaths from upwind pollution turns out to be electric power generation. Looking at data from 2005, the researchers concluded that sulfur dioxide belched by smokestacks from power plants killed people in another state in more than 75% of the cases. The study did find a reduction in cross-border pollution, largely thanks to declines in emissions from electric power plants. Now they're concerned that emissions from other sources are adding to such harmful cross-state pollution. That's the Bloomberg Green Business Report. I'm Bob Moon.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
A PAC needs someone to follow.
It's got to be important for somebody to have a breakout moment.
Don't look now, but they're behind you.
Imports declined 2.8%.
Bloomberg Daybreak.
Sources tell us that agreement is expected to include commitments on U.S. intellectual property.
With Karen Moscow and Nathan Hager.
Could we see that play into the results and the forward guidance?
Weekday mornings at 5 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening. From the financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. It was a mixed Friday, a winning week for the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ. S&P this week advancing in 4 out of 5 sessions. Today, the S&P up 6 to end the week at a record 3380, up by 0.2%. NASDAQ up 19. That was a gain today of 0.2%. Dow Industrial slumped 25 points, lower by 0.1%. During a week when the coronavirus threatened to become a pandemic, the threat threatens global growth. S&P 500 index managed to post 3 records along the way. Scott Ladner is Chief Investment Officer at Horizon Investments.
Right now, we're like everybody else, waiting and listening to the scientists about how they're assessing the situation on the ground. But ultimately, why we think the market is really looking through this pretty well, and why it's probably smart to look through it, is there can be a wave, an absolute wall of stimulus coming out of China, and actually a wall of stimulus coming out of the United States as well.
Again, the S&P ending the week at a record at 3380 on the week, up by 1.6%. Again today, advancing by 0.2%. 10-year up 9/32, yield 1.58%. Gold up 0.5%, 15.84 the ounce, and West Texas Intermediate crude higher by 1.6%, ending the week at 52.25 a barrel. Nvidia shares after earnings up by 7% today. Expedia also surging after earnings, up by 11%. Roku, on the other hand, fell after earnings, down 6.3%. Recapping, stocks higher. S&P up 6, up 0.2. I'm Charlie Pellet, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thank you so much. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week here on a Friday afternoon. I'm Jason. To that and much more here on this Valentine's Day. Everybody